Okay, I'm going to show you how to do the no purl zigzag scarf. And here's one I made here, 10 stitches only. It's nice and long. It zigzags really nice. It knits up really fast. I did this one 60 inches long, which is what I like for the length of scarves, but you can go longer if you want, or shorter. You can make it thicker. I wouldn't make it too much thinner unless it was for an infant or a small child. But in the interest of making a fairly fast video, I'm going to just do the one I'm making to show you how to do it, only about 6 inches wide. It'll be really too thin for anybody. Like I say, you should make it at least 10 inches wide. It knits up really fast, no purls. I'm really enjoying doing them. So first of all, we're going to start with our loom. I'm just going to use a 3/4 inch loom from Cindy Wood. It has 30 pegs. And then I'm going to mark how many pegs I'm going to use. And I just use an elastic for the rainbow looms, but you can use any kind of stitch marker you like. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I'm just going to mark 6 pegs. I had it marked on 10 pegs because I had made that scarf. I just wrap it around quite a bit of time because I hate picking up that piece of elastic by mistake and having it in my work. Okay, and then the yarn I've got is a Barcelona yarn from Michaels, and it's called Lapis. It's a bunch of shades of blue. So first we just make a slip knot and put it on. And put it on this way so that our piece of yarn is going that way and our working yarn is going this way. And then the bind on that I'm going to use is this one. So you just put your hook down into the loop and then scoop up the working yarn and pull it through. And then at this point, you don't have to do this, but I like to secure it with the Cindy Wood loom so that it won't move. And you've got the loop, and then you just put the yarn through the loop and flip it. And whichever way you flip it, just flip it the same way each time, and then give it a little tug. Isn't the easiest yarn to work with. Okay, flip it, and then you get your loop, and flip it, tighten it. The reason I'm using this cast on is it's a nice flat cast on, and I don't want to get too thick on this edge because I want it to blend in with the other edges. Okay, so you're going to have casted on 10 or more, but like I say, I'm just casting on few so I can get done faster. And I want the working yarn to be coming from this peg, so I'm just going to knit it over. There. Now we're going to start. And basically this scarf is just one metered corner after another. So but we alternate which way we're going, so we need a way to mark which way we're going. So I'm just going to get a stitch marker and I'll be right back. Okay, so I've got a stitch marker, but you can use anything you want to mark. I like this stitch marker because it fits nice on these pegs. So whichever way I'm going to be doing my short row is where I put the peg. So I know that's the short row I'm doing, so I'm going to put it here so I know that when I knit up and meet it, that I will be starting my short row. Okay, so now we're just going to U-wrap over each of these pegs. And I'm keeping it fairly tight because I want to have a nice tight edge. But when we're knitting, we're going to be a lot looser. Okay, now we're going to knit over this peg, and I've hit the stitch marker, but I know this is where I'm going to start my short row. So I just knit it over. Boy, it's a tight one. Now what you do is come around the front and pull it. And then what you're going to see now that you've pulled it is a kind of a V in here. I'll show you on some other pegs because this isn't going to show up that much on the white peg, but there's a V there. And then we're going to be doing the owl eye stitch. So now that we've done that peg, we're going to go right over this one and over these two. And when we're doing the owl eye, we're always starting at peg 1, wrapping behind peg 1, wrapping over peg 1, and the next peg to it, peg 2, and then knitting them off. And we keep it nice and loose. Easy to knit. Just like that. And then when you do the last pegs, we just go over like this, knit it over, and knit this one over. And we want to keep this fairly loose and have a nice even tension here to have a nice edge. And then we come back like this, keeping this nice and over. And we're doing our short row, so we're going to go all the way back till we hit peg 2. Okay, and then we're just going to wrap over peg 2 like normal. Again, when we're doing the owl eye, we're coming behind the peg and over the next 2. Knit that, knit this, bring it to the front, and gentle pull. And here you can see your V really well on the red. There it is on the white here. It's not showing up too good, but right here. That tells you that this is a peg you're skipping. And this is what you call a German short row. And I like the German short row because it's a really nice short row and you won't have holes in your work. It gives you a really nice results. You can use it for socks. You can use it in 10-stitch blankets. And then I'm coming back. I'm finishing the owl eye by doing that one, going behind it, wrapping over. There we go. And doing the owl eye again. This whole blanket is just done an owl eye and short rows. This is our corner 1 if you were making a 10-stitch blanket and you were making a metered corner there. And then over these 2. And then we're here. We go behind and over. Here we are, behind and over. And we're at the next peg. There's our V. So just a gentle pull. We knit here. If you ever think this is too loose, like here I've pulled it so it's loose, just give a little tug here. Tighten it back up before you go. Okay, we're going back, and one thing you can always do is just open up these V's so you don't accidentally knit over them, but if you do go to knit over it, you'll be able to tell it's going to be a lot tighter than the other stitches. And then your tug. Over that one, behind and over. And see, we've almost finished corner 1 already. It goes very quickly, especially with 6 pegs. Go over, do our tug, and then knit this. Now we're done a corner 1 if we were making a blanket. This is the zig of the zigzag. And then we're going to start picking these all up. So we just go over like this, and pick up this V. They're always going to be a little tighter, and that's good. That's going to give you the good corner. And then we're going to come back. We only pick up one at a time. Whoop. There, I got the elastic. Okay. We're going to go down and pick up the next one. And then we come back, and I'll lie again. So it's pretty easy. All you do is you do corner 1, corner 2. Then we go back again, picking up the V stitches there. And we pick up this one. Okay, I'm about to pick up peg 2 here. We're almost done our corner 2. Oh, that doesn't take a lot of time to do a zig and then a zag. Okay, I'm going to go pick up the stitch on peg 1. Okay, as soon as we get this one, which is going to be the tightest stitch. This yarn is not stretchy at all either. Not the easiest yarn to work with. Okay, so now we start again. We've done a zig and a zag. That's given us our zigzag, our first point there. So we're going to take the stitch marker and I'm going to put it there. So if I have to put my work down or anything, I'll know that I'm heading there, and that will be where I do my first corner 1. So now we do our next zigzag. So we're going to head down to the stitch marker and start our German short row on peg 6, but for you, peg 10 or greater, unless you're making an infant scarf. And then I'm just going to give it a gentle pull, and there's my V. You can see it easily on the red pegs. Knit over. It's always a little tighter right after the V, and you want to keep it tight there, and then you just loosen up as you go along. And I can take this off here now. Should take it off before. There we go. Okay, so we're starting the second zig. And here we are, and we just gently pull, and then we have our V here. By doing this scarf, you'll get really good at doing corners, and these are the corners that you use on a 10 stitch, so make it really easy if you haven't done a 10 stitch yet to do your first one. We're just going to go down to the next one, and we see we have our V here, we have a V here, so here's the one we're doing. Gentle pull. And gentle pull. Gentle pull. And so you have the V's here. Over. Now we're ready to do the zag part. So we just go back over here. Oop, picked up the okay, and we knit off the V, and then we come back then we go and pick up peg 3 here, and come back. Picking up to peg 4. And then we're going to go pick up our last stitch. And that completes our zag as soon as I get it actually over the peg. There we go. That's our zag. And take the stitch marker off, because now we're going to be going this direction. And we'll be doing our first short row there. And so now this the first one is going to look a little different. When we get further along, you'll see how this is zigging and zagging, but this needs to be one flat piece going here, which it will be when we get up there and stretch it out, which is why I wanted to do a bind on that didn't take up a lot of space in the work. So this would remain fairly flat here. Okay, now we're going back to do another zig. And give it its gentle pull, and having a V here. And doing the owl eye stitch back again. Okay, at this point I'm just going to pause, and I'm going to do another complete zig, and then I'm going to come back and do the zag, and then I'll come back when I'm about to move the stitch marker over. Okay, so here I am. I've done the next zigzag, and so now we're starting to look like a zigzag blanket. So here's our bind on, and we'll just be sewing that in at the end. And see, this is going fairly good. Once we stretch it out, it'll be nice and straight. And it looks like at the end, at the sides. And what you can do, you can wait till you're done, but I just like to stretch my points a little bit so I can see how the zigzag looks as I go. I find that funner. And here we are. I've moved this stitch marker because now I'm going this way to do the next zigzag. So we have a total of 1, 2, 3 zigzags, and you can see how big we are already. About 7 zigzags give you around 30 inches on this gauge, so you're not doing that many to get a really long scarf if you want to go 60 inches. And it goes up really fast. So I'm just going to pause it again, and I'm going to get a little bit further along and show you what it looks like, and then show you how to bind it off. Okay, so now I've done 4 zigzags, and I'm just going to show you how to bind off. But you're going to be doing it, quite long. And you have your starter edge, and then your bind off edge on this one. To find it, it's right here. So there's the bind off edge on this one. And you have the long scarf here. Again, you can look at how it looks when it's longer before I bind it off, because I've just shown you a short example. This stitch really holds these very pointy. I haven't had to block it or anything. I've even had it on, and it just is really nice that way. The other side looks like this. You can wear both sides. They both look good. Okay, we'll just show you how to bind it off. So if you want to, you can go to my YouTube channel, and I have a video there of another bind off. If you find that one easier, it will work too. Or you can bind off any way you like. I'm going to do the basic bind off because, as I showed you there, it really fits in nice with this stitch and looks really good. So all I'm going to do is I'm going to E-wrap. So I'm just going to E-wrap this peg, and then I'm going to E-wrap the peg next to it, and then I'm going to bring this over, and I'm doing this very loose onto here, and see, I've kept it loose. It's very loose on here, and then we're just going to knit it over to catch it in the work. And then I'm going to do another knit on this one, nice and loose, and bring it over to this one and not tighten it much. We want this loose. See, they have a bit of a loop in here. Want this loose. And then knit it over, and then wrap the peg that's left. Nice and loose. Picking this up, coming over, knitting it over, wrapping it again, and moving it over, knitting it, wrapping it, all nice and loose. Last one, coming over here, over, wrapping it, and then we're just going to take the scissors, cut it, I don't know, something like that, take it off, and put this through to tie it off, and then you'll just be weaving that in, and there you go. You're bound off, it matches, and then you can just pull out your zigs. They're very short, so but you can see where they are there. mini little zigzag here. Looking good on both sides. The corners are just so nice. You can't even see where you've done those German short rows. It'll give you a really nice piece of fabric. So I hope you enjoyed the video, and until I see you again, farewell.